think, given that handling objections is a really key part of a sales job, that salespeople would be pretty good at it by now. Not so much. Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training here in Japan and the best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery. We're coming to you from our High Performance Center here in Akasaka, Minato-ku, the very business center of Tokyo. This is part of a series of videos on doing business in Japan, and today we're looking at handling objections. So in any sort of sales call, sales talk with buyers, at some point you're going to get pushback, you're going to get hesitation, you're going to get outright objections to what you're proposing. How do you handle that? Well, you think this is a part and parcel of sales. Not everyone's going to go for your widget or go for your service just straight off the bat. They may have some problems, they may have some concerns, they may have some hesitations. How do we deal with those? Now, ridiculously, a lot of salespeople think that somehow force of will is going to make the difference, and they can sort of drive the process such that the buyer will buy. No, that's never going to happen. Or they want to argue the point with the buyer. Oh yes, I'll out-talk the buyer, I'll out-maneuver the buyer, I'll outsmart the buyer and get them to buy. I'll try all sorts of tricky things to get them to buy. Ridiculous. Not going to work. Now, particularly here in Japan, this is a very, very much risk-averse culture. The people who are salaried employees making the buying decisions do not want to have any problems that's going to come back on them. So they're trying to take all the risk out. When they are asking or objecting or showing hesitation, they're trying to really understand that the risk factor has been diminished to a zero. So it's not so much they're trying to be difficult or they're trying to be, hard with you. They are looking after themselves to try and get down to the lowest possible risk equation in dealing with you. So you've got to see it like that, and therefore you've got to approach it in that way. Now, the very, very first thing is you don't argue with the client. If they make some comment, then say, yes, thank you for that. Now question it. May I ask you why you say that? Because often a hesitation comment or an objection comment is like the headline in a newspaper. There's a big article that explains what a headline says, but the headline itself is a pretty short, pretty compact statement. Often they'll do the same thing. They'll make a very compact statement about their hesitation, their objection. You don't know what the full story is. Get the full story. No point answering what you think the point may be. It's like when you're at school, you get the essay topic, you write the essay, you think this is what about, you give it to the teacher, they go, no, it wasn't about that, it was about this. Oh, too late. Same thing. Don't second guess what you think the problem might be. Ask them. May I ask you why you say that? Now, I was sitting at an event recently, there's a Japanese sales director there, we were talking about selling, and I said, when you get objections, what do you do? How do you handle them? And I tell you what, I nearly fell on the floor. He said, well, I just dropped the price by 20%. Wow. So how many people working in your team? 10. Mental calculation, 10 people dropping the price by 20% every time over how many years? What does that mean for the companies doing the selling? That is a disaster. Now, okay, he didn't know what to do. He wasn't skilled. But it's not so difficult. Find out more about what the problem is before you try and answer the problem. So I'll give you another example. I'm with a client and we're talking about training, and they said, look, no, price is too much. This will not fit in our budget. Thank you for saying that. Why do you say that? Well, look, this is the quarter we have, and this is the budget we have for training this quarter, and that number is over that budget allocation for this quarter. Well, what if we could spread that over 2 quarters? Would that help? Oh yeah, that'd be fine. See, it wasn't about money. It was about timing. But if I hadn't asked, well, why do you say that? I would have dropped the price by 20% maybe. So also when people tell us the objection, we have to be thinking, is this really the objection? It's like the iceberg idea. There's the objection they tell us is the reason above the waterline of the iceberg. Often the real reason is below the waterline. They don't want to share with us the real reason that they're not able to buy. We do it all the time in retail shopping. You see a beautiful suit or something and you think, look at the price, woo, boy, can't afford that. But when the clerk asks you about the suit, you don't say, well, look, I haven't been sufficiently successful in my career to date to be able to afford such a high-priced suit, so I can't afford to buy it. We just say, well, I'm not sure about that pattern, I'm not sure about that colour. We don't give the real reason of why we're not buying. Same in B2B. So we've got to dig in and find out what the real reason is. And often that won't come out immediately. So they give you a reason, keep digging. Well, apart from that reason, is there anything else that you have a hesitation about? Anything else that maybe I haven't explained clearly enough? Keep digging. And when you get out 2 or 3 or 4 hesitations or objections, then you ask them, well, you've given me this, and this as potential problems. Of these, which one would you say was the most difficult problem for you? And you try to get them to prioritise which one is the most difficult problem. That's the one you answer. The other 3 or 4 probably drop out. They'll probably go away after you've answered the major one. You've got to know what to answer. Find out what the key problem is, answer that. Now, if you don't have a good answer, if it is really a game breaker, it's a game breaker. That's it, you know. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Force of will, trying to be tricky, isn't going to make it. You just say, well, thank you very much, I understand that. We're not going to be able to do business today. Go and find someone who can do business. That is the answer. Do not try and argue with the buyer, because guess what? That buyer will be a buyer at some point in the future. They couldn't take your offer today in this current format, in this part of the business cycle, in their current budget allocations, with the current politics inside the company. They couldn't go for it, but that doesn't mean they'll never go for it. Leave the door open, be polite, be respectful. Couldn't do a deal today, that's fine. Walk away, come back in the future. This is how we need to handle objections. If we do that, we will do much better in selling here in Japan.